I'm going to show you a couple articles today coming out of Zero Hedge talking about the president, the situation that is going on with him. First article comes from Roger Stone talking about the deep state and what they have been doing before he was president and since he's become president, the things that they have done to first try to keep him out of office and then try to get him kicked out of office. During the presidential campaign for the 16th election, then candidate Trump responded to the anguished cries of the people when he promised to drain the swamp. While Donald Trump knew instinctively that there was rampant corruption in D.C., it is entirely possible that he was surprised by the levels of vindictiveness and wrath he would eventually encounter. In a prescient and possibly complicit statement on January 3rd of 17, mere days from Trump's inauguration, Senator Minority Leader Chuck Schumer warned the soon-to-be sworn-in president-elect. Schumer said that Donald Trump was being really dumb to question U.S. intelligence agency officials in their handling of the alleged Russian hacking fabrications. Listen, this is the most important part of this one. Schumer warned, "Let me tell you, you take on the intelligence community, and they have 6 ways from Sunday at getting back at you." You remember when he said this? Well, we have seen those 6 ways from Sunday that they come back at you ever since he's been in office, right? With the benefit of hindsight, we see that Obama corrupted FBI with the assistance of from the Obama corrupted CIA. They tried more than 6 different ways and are still trying even now. The Russia collusion delusion is a fairly complicated bit of political machinery that was by design, and we've seen this continue on and on and on. You turn on the mainstream media every time, what do they talk about? Russia this, Trump that, constantly talking about Trump. It was Russia, Russia, Russia. Now it's Trump. Now it's just anything bad they can say about Trump, right? Well, let me tell you the latest news that's been coming out, okay? Everybody knows about the Papadopoulos. If you want to look at all the old news, check this article out right here. I'm going to tell you the new news that just came out today. New York Times accuses Trump of making hundreds of millions of dollars from tax dodges and outright fraud. 11 key takeaways here. In a massive front page story, the New York Times has accused President Trump of participating in questionable and dubious tax strategies, including instances of outright fraud that greatly increased the fortune he received from his parents and allowed him to accrue millions of dollars in additional wealth from his father's real estate empire, much of it through tax dodges in the 1990s. Okay, even if he did do this back in the 1990s, guess what? They cannot impeach him for that now. He cannot get in trouble with the law for that now, as it says at the end of this article here. Okay, so all they can do is make him pay the money back, if anything. But they got to prove him guilty of it first. In my opinion, they're just trying to reach out for something and get him for anything they possibly can. Okay, and so we go on and read. Charles Harder, which is an attorney for the president, said in a statement to the New York Times that allegations of tax evasion are 100% false, adding that Trump had virtually no involvement with the tax strategies used by his family and instead delegated those tasks to others. Harder also implied that the newspaper could face a defamation lawsuit if it suggested Trump participated in a fraudulent tax scheme. There was no fraud or tax evasion by anyone. The facts upon which the Times bases its false allegations are extremely inaccurate, he said. President Trump had virtually no involvement whatsoever with these matters. He continued, saying the president had delegated those tasks to relatives and tax professionals. The affairs were handled by other Trump family members who were not experts themselves and therefore relied entirely upon the aforementioned licensed professionals to ensure full compliance with the law. The New York Times allegation of fraud and tax evasion are 100% false and highly defamatory, Mr. Harder said. There was no fraud or tax evasion by anyone. The facts upon which the Times bases its false allegations are extremely inaccurate. And also, check it out, it says, the Times says that its findings raise new questions about Mr. Trump's refusal to release his income tax returns, breaking with decades of practice by past presidents. but according to tax experts, it is unlikely that Mr. Trump would be vulnerable to criminal prosecution for helping his parents evade taxes, because the acts happened too long ago and are past the statute of limitations. There is no time limit, however, on civil fines or tax fraud. So he may get civil fines or tax fraud. We will see what comes of it. I guess it's just going to be another false article that's reported by the Times. Thank you very much for coming and checking this out. I'll leave both articles here so you can read them for yourselves. Please like and subscribe.